Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Kansas City Chiefs go to 4-1, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders, who go to 1-4. 30-29, with a lot to talk about here. The Raiders actually started this game with a statement. You know, Josh Jacobs was running hard. Davante Adams is running free. Both of them looking so strong. They built a 17-0 lead against the Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid Chiefs, who have hosted the AFC title game 4 years in a row. And the Raiders need this game. And Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams are giving it to him. It was something special. Where did this Josh Jacobs come from? He's running like a madman. Fantasy football players everywhere. I call on you. This is not the same guy as 2018 Josh Jacobs, 2019 Josh Jacobs, 2020 Josh Jacobs, 2021. We know Josh Jacobs. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And Davante Adams looking great as a centerpiece. That bomb on 4th and 1 catches for the first touchdown. Then, is the subject of some pass interference calls. The Derek Carr pitifully underthrown pass interference special. But the Chiefs came back, and so they 17-7. And then we got to talk about the roughing the passer call here before the half. Chris Jones breaks. He comes in the back of Derek Carr, strips the ball, actually has the ball, braces himself with his left arm to not put his weight on the quarterback, gets called for roughing the passer. That will be one of the headlines of the night. It really did change the game. Either a 6 or a 10-point swing at the end of the first half there, because Jones had the ball. He had the ball. And they're just, combined with the Grady Jarrett play yesterday on Tom Brady, we're feeling it. Adam Schefter, of all people, said it best. He said, nobody thought that was roughing the passer except for the referee on the field. There's a whole world watching on TV. Why can't there just be somebody radioing into the refs saying, don't do it? You can't see it right now, but just don't do this. Trust me. It was a bad call, a really bad call. And my cynical view is this. After the Tua stuff last week, where we went into the fencing response, the NFL is trying to placate, make it look like they're so safe with quarterbacks, and it couldn't have possibly, look how strict we are. It couldn't have been our fault. No. The goal is to make the concussion tests less fakeable. Because you're phoning it in on the concussion stuff, NFL. It's not to just make up roughing the passer calls so that you can get press the other way. I don't know. That's a cynical view. But the Chiefs fans are to be commended. And I'm about to commend them here for their relentless, incessant booing of this call as the Raiders drove and got a field goal, 17 seconds left. The Chiefs drive and actually get their own field goal. They were relentless, chanting, refs, you suck. I love that Joe Buck kind of just went silent, let that chant ring out on our TVs. There's even a certain sophistication of the booing. Not only was it hearty, not only was it full-throated boos, it was also like they would pause to cheer the defense. Oh, let's go. And they'd watch the play, and then they would boo. And then the next play, they would cheer, and then boo. And then when Pat Mahomes got on offense, they're quiet for the play, for the snap and stuff like that, and then they would boo. It was just like they just would not let these refs forget it. The whole rest of the first half, it was amazing. It was truly one of the impressive crowd moments of the year for me, right up there with the Broncos fans sarcastically counting down the play clock to show their disapproval of Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, and the field goal that he made, powered by booze, as Mina Kimes put it on Twitter. I love that. Now, the Raiders fans, you're in a bit of a quandary here. You benefited from a BS call. Just absolute BS call. And nobody hates the officials more than the Raiders. Nobody hates the NFL establishment more than the Raiders. So they're trying to defend this. Well, good news for you, Raiders fans, because then you got screwed in the second half with a holding call on defense on a field goal. That was just bizarre. The Raiders had stopped the Chiefs in the red zone. Chiefs set up for a field goal, missed the field goal, but a flag is thrown. One of the Chiefs or one of the Raiders defensive linemen held in some way. ESPN's like, yeah, I guess that happened. They didn't even show the replay. Presumably it was a bad call. The internet says it's a bad call. But anyway, it wasn't to be. The Raiders just couldn't quite get a hold of themselves. Travis Kelce went ham today. 7 receptions, 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. And I tell you, this looks good on the Travis Kelce Hall of Fame resume because he's got plenty of playoff success, plenty of yards, way too many yards. Where he falls behind a bit is in touchdowns. So he needed kind of this calibration here. Travis Kelce has 3 Pro Bowl seasons where he only has 5 touchdowns. So this attacks an area of need for him. 64 all-time touchdowns, 41 from Mahomes. But it still wasn't a steamroll by Kansas City. The Raiders came back, I thought tied it with a bomb, another bomb to Davante Adams. Adams, a sweet double move that actually cooked both the corner and the Chiefs safety at the same time. But the Raiders went for 2, which is a bit strange. I can't quite figure that one out. Though, it wasn't the worst result because they didn't get it and they still had a chance to win the game at the end. So, they had a chance to get it, obviously, and they still had a chance to win at the end. You're maximizing your chances, I guess. Just can't quite figure it out. But the Raiders get the ball back. The Chiefs punted when they were up 1 point. Maybe that's why. Just make sure that Andy Reid is up 1 point, and then he doesn't want to play offense, and they punt it back. Maybe that's it. But the Raiders get their chance to drive down the field. They just need a field goal to win. Realistic winning opportunity here, by the way. And 4th and 1, they try for the glory that they had with the first touchdown of the game. They go deep on a 4th and 1. This time, Davante Adams does not burn his guy. He is pressed. He bumps into Hunter Renfrow down the field, and Kansas City wins. Oh, the Raiders needed this. I still think the Raiders can do something this year, even at 1-4. I really do. They can make a run at the 6 or 7 seed, especially with the away Chiefs game is now out of the way. But it has to turn around now. All right. Mukilteo Football Show. The show is football everything, NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of the season. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter or YouTube. Subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We have shows Monday after Monday Night Football, Thursday after Thursday Night Football, and Sunday after Sunday Night Football. And now that Week 5 is in the books, let's talk some winners and losers. Just gonna do a couple of winners and losers of the week. Reminder to check out our Sunday show from yesterday, where we give out the Sunday Best Awards and talk a little bit more about what happened specifically on Sunday. Who won the Lou Gehrig Award? Who won the Frodo Award? So go check that out. And then Thursday, we'll be back with our second annual 29.4% spectacular. The 17-game season with no buys in the first 5 weeks gives us this nice spot, this nice plateau to assess the season so far and springboard to talk the rest of the 2022. And I'll have a guest, my brother Kirk, will be dropping in to review the 5 weeks, preview the next 12. All right, let's get to winners. Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen in the wind. Yes, that's right. It was windy in Buffalo. during Josh Allen's 424-yard, 4-touchdown performance against the Steelers. Amazing game. He now has 2 of the 3 400-yard games of 2022. The other was the Miami loss. So in other words, it was not the Rams opener. Josh Allen is having a fantastic year. And the real tragedy to this is that it was so windy and the Steelers put up no fight or no competition that he didn't get a chance to go for the all-time passing record. He had like 350 at the half, starting with that 98-yard touchdown to Gabriel Davis. Just fantastic play from Josh Allen. Next. Patriots in general, but I wanted to specifically call out Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson, who had 25 carries for 161 yards. It was just great to see. I love Damian Harris. I can throw in here. He didn't have a great game. He pulled a hamstring in this game pretty early on, but the Patriots have just somewhat quietly deployed this solid running back duo. I really like watching them. They passed the eye test for me. Of course, rave reviews from fantasy football players. The only problem with either of them is that the other exists, right? And this game is testament to that. Harris goes out with a hamstring. Stevenson gets 161 yards. Patriots as a whole, just blowing out the Lions 29-0. The Lions were scoring so many points in the first 4 weeks. Now they get shut out by Bill Belichick. And they give up 29 points to Bill Belichick's third-string quarterback, Bailey Zappi. Amazing. Life is not fair. The Lions fans don't deserve to be beaten by a plucky Patriots team. The Patriots are only 2 years removed from a 20-year dynasty. The Lions are in the middle of like an 80-year suffering with one playoff win in there. It's just not fair. Remember I said when Queen Elizabeth II first ascended to the crown, or whatever you say, however you say that, that's the last time the Lions had won an NFL championship. 1952. Bill Belichick's taken over the offense from Matt Patricia, who probably claims revenge against his old team, but it's pretty clear that Belichick has taken over the offense, and these running backs are looking good. The Patriots are ground and pound, and I find that kind of fun. Next winner. Taysom Hill. New Orleans kick returner, punt specialist, quarterback, tight end, fullback. Just incredible. The Saints scored 39 points. If you're watching Red Zone, for a team that scored 40 points, you have no idea that the quarterback was Andy Dalton. I didn't see any Andy Dalton. And Taysom Hill made all the big plays. He was all over the field. I got to then watch this game in full because they were playing the Seahawks. And just with Sean Payton stepping away, I don't think anyone predicted that Taysom Hill was going to still be so relevant. Taysom Hill was seen as Sean Payton's little pet, his little pet project. So for him to still be doing this is ridiculous. 112 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 24 snaps at quarterback, and he mostly ran it, but he did pass it once, 1 pass for a 22-yard touchdown. He was returning kicks. He recovered a fumble on a punt. Michael Dixon, what are you doing? And then, as the announcers could not get over, and I can't get over it either, Taysom Hill in at fullback, pulling and making, or tight end, whatever you classify him now in that play, pulling and making the lead block to get Kamara first down to ice the game against my Seahawks. Taysom Hill, I just throw up my hands. I don't know. He's not a quarterback in this league, and maybe that has, and so many of us have properly criticized Taysom Hill as a shitty quarterback, but it's just blinded us to the brilliance of Taysom Hill when he has the ball in his hand. He looks so good. All right, let's get to the losers. Matt Rule era over in Carolina. He has been fired. An early firing. You don't always get a week 5 firing. because it kind of reflects poorly on the owner. Like, what did you learn in these 5 weeks that you didn't know about? I saw a lot of posts like, oh, the best time to fire Matt Rule was 6 months ago. The second best time is today. Well, my boss would disagree. The second best time was 5 months ago and 29 days. The third best time was 5 months ago and 28 days. Just pointing it out. Semantics. But we all knew Matt Rule, or at least I knew Matt Rule was going to be fired. Just especially when he started giving these answers, like they're asking him about why the offense sucks and why he can't win a game unless his defense holds the other team to below 17 points, which was a pretty damning stat. He has like a 1-25 record when the other team scores more than 17 points, which, by the way, teams score more than 17 points all the time. And he essentially blamed the fans for wanting to be entertained. They put too much emphasis on entertainment. I know you want that. Like, whoa, no, you don't say that. You don't say that. Like, I guess you could say that if you were winning without scoring a lot. You could say it then. That would be acceptable. But you don't say it as like a reason. Like, we don't really believe in scoring a lot of points because we don't care about the entertainment of it. We just want to lose in peace. What does it even mean? The fans want entertainment of good offense. I understand that. Like, shut up. Well, now he has to shut up because he's fired. I'm really interested to see what will happen here because David Tepper, who is a new owner, who seems like a precocious owner, who's still going through that thing that some owners do when they may get rich in an industry, finance in this case, and you think that makes you a genius in a different industry, in this case football. And we just haven't quite seen that fall yet. So we had this weird refusal to rebuild, right? And they overpaid Matt Rule, and they just said, no, it's not a rebuild, and they just did all this stuff with Teddy Bridgewater and then Sam Darnold and then Baker Mayfield. Now I would find it very thrilling if we had an over rebuild. Now Carolina just starts selling off pieces. Christian McCaffrey to the Bills. DJ Moore to the Packers. Taylor Moton tackle to the Chargers. Let's get wild with it. All right, next loser. The Commanders. Okay, similar thing. Ron Rivera's not fired, of course, but it might be coming. Maybe not in the season. Dan Snyder. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan Snyder's wife, who is running day-to-day operations of the Commanders and not the person who she lives with, her husband, on multiple investigations. He has nothing to do with it. How could you even think that? How could you even think that? We'll see if Dan Snyder's wife wants to make a move on Ron Rivera. But Ron Rivera had a very interesting little thing there where the press asked him, what is the problem? Why are other teams in the NFC East doing so well and the Commanders aren't? Which is a weird question, but Ron Rivera, the way he answered it instantly with a one-word answer, quarterback. And it's just, I'm no fan of Carson Wentz. It was funny when he got to the red zone there in that game. You thought he's gonna throw a pick. It just wasn't even a question, and it did happen. So I don't think Wentz has played well, and I don't agree with Alex Smith's whole thing about Wentz's stats because it's all garbage time. But I do fully agree with Alex Smith's ESPN, who is now an ESPN announcer. His point that Ron Rivera, you might want to watch yourself with that because that's a dangerous game to blame the quarterback immediately and not even touch on the defense because Ron Rivera is a defensive guy, right? This can be seen as like super favoritism within a locker room. The Commanders' defense sucks and it shouldn't. They have good players everywhere on the secondary and the D line, but they can't get it going. They're always yelling at each other. Ron Rivera can't get it going. Jack Del Rio's storming the Capitol building. This was last year too. It's a bad defense. It doesn't have to be bad. All right, Mukilteo Football Show. We'll be back Thursday with the 29.4% Spectacular with my brother Kirk. It's going to be a good show. Thanks for tuning in and a good night.